There will be an overwhelming number of charges. Oh yes, because everybody. By the way, this is if you don't want to use the crass, it's a steaming pile of judicial dog shit. You can use the maxim: if you can't dazzle them with intellect, baffle them with bullshit. But you're using shit either way, so stick with whichever one you want. This an overwhelming number of charges doesn't mean badder of bad. In fact, some might say that if you can't say something succinctly, you're saying it wrong. Draft 100 pages of verbal diarrhea, give an answer a la Billy Madison as to the Industrial Revolution, and make it a long, meandering, incoherent, oh my goodness. It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it smart. It actually probably just means that you're an idiot and you have no idea what you're doing. But we are on the level of, I'm calling it indictment porn. I mean, we are literally at a stage of these people are mentally unhinged. Mike Singleton, Trump has met his match. Oh, give me more. Just give me more indictments. It's indictment porn. Here's the image. Oh, look at this picture, people. Trump has met his match. Lick your lips and salivate. It's going to be, what do they say? Overwhelming amount of charges. Oh, just give me more charges. Oh, indict him on everything. Go. Oh, that's the face of the indictment right there. I have to unfollow. I have to mute Mike Singleton because it's Twitter. It's Twitter. I have to mute George Takei and Mike Singleton on Twitter. But it's good to know what they're saying because they're idiots. Let us get into this indictment. There are a number of people who are just not reading the indictment before they talk about it. This is the Georgia indictment where they're getting him on RICO charges, racketeering. What is he? Hold on. Let me just see what RICO stands for. So I keep forgetting that. I know it's racketeering, criminal organization. What does RICO mean? Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act. It was a law that was implemented to combat organized crime, mafia, mobsters, gangs. They're now using it. When you hear what's in this indictment, they're using it to criminalize the Constitution. Petition for grievance, petition the government for grievance, free speech. We're going to play a game. It's going to be called Steaming Pile of Judicial Dog Shit Roulette, where I'm going to ask Google to just randomly select a number. We're going to go to that act, the charge in the indictment, and we're going to see the level of steaming dog poop that it is. But before we get there, we'll just go over like the okay, so hold on one second. The controversy of the day yesterday, and I am a Quebec-trained attorney, no longer practicing. I do not do U.S. constitutional law. I don't know the answer to this question. Barnes and I are going to talk about it during our Sunday stream. Faux show. Yesterday's scandal of the day. They're so eager with they had premature indictments. They're so eager on their indictment porn. They accidentally disclosed or filed in the docket the indictment before it was issued. And apparently there are some arguments that this could justify just dismissing the entire indictment itself, because apparently they had added it to the docket before the grand jury had returned their indictment. I think that's the scandal. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong on it. I'll talk about it Sunday. I don't know the details. I just know that some people are arguing that the scandal of having added to the docket and then removed from the docket and then apparently claimed it was a falsified document, it just shows that they're idiots. Premature indictment syndrome up the wazoo, and it might have some legal consequences of which I am unaware because I have never been trained in U.S. law, but I'm asking questions. And I'm reading through this indictment, and I am saying, I'm a Quebec-trained attorney. I only did civil law, though I studied criminal. I don't know if this indictment is as idiotic as I think it is, because I'm reading through the indictment and I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So it's a stretch in law. Right? Oh, yeah, tweeting that there's going to be a press conference, tweeting that you're going to be on OAN. That's an act. That's a criminal act under the indictment. But then I'm like, okay, why are they talking about acts that Jenna Ellis undertook in Pennsylvania? I was like, oh, well, that's bizarre. This is a Georgia indictment. Why the hell are they including charges, acts of allegations of conduct that occurred in Pennsylvania? Then I get to I don't know what it was, Act 17. I'm like, then they're in Arizona. Then I go down in Act 27. Then they're in Michigan. So I don't understand what the hell is going on. That in this indictment, they are including charges, allegations of conduct that occurred in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, outside of the state of Georgia, where this indictment has been returned by a grand jury that would apparently indict not only a ham sandwich, but a steaming pile of dog shit. And I was like, okay, I'm not a lawyer. Does this make sense or is this absurd? And lo and behold, if you just have half a brain, you might be able to ask the right questions and say, no, it does not make any sense. But let's go through this. Actually, let me just make sure of one thing before we go through this. I'm going to go to the chat in the Rumbles. And let's just see what's going on here. Okay, good. Okay, let's see here. And then I had to take it to our locals community to get their feedback because, as everybody knows, everyone in our locals community is well above average. And they're like, yeah, no, this makes no sense. I listened to what Robert. Well, I think when Robert did the bourbon with Barnes last night, I don't think we had the actual indictment. I'm not sure. Add to stream. Let us go through the steaming pile of dog crap, and I'll see if I can get Jenna Ellis back on. Because by the way, they've indicted lawyers for doing law. I don't give a sweet bugger all what the Mehdi Hassan pathological liars of the world want to say. It's not, well, you can't practice law to tell a criminal how to get away with a crime. I don't want to swear too much today, but I've got 2 middle fingers, and it's not enough for people who say that. Wait until you see the acts of which they accuse the attorneys to indict them on criminal charges. You got, let's just go see who's in here, by the way. Who's in here? This is how many pages was this? 118, 96? Can't see it from here anyhow. Fulton Superior Court, State of Georgia versus Donald John Trump, Rudolph William Louis Giuliani. That's funny. I think I know someone who has 2 middle names that might be William Louis. John Eastman, Mark Meadows, Kenny, I don't know who that is. Jeffrey Clark, we had him on the channel. Jenna Ellis, had her on the channel. Lawyers preparing legal theories to present an alternate slate of electors when one believes that the slate of electors as nominated based on the election are the result of fraud or unconstitutional, constitutionally unqualified ballots. We have a legal theory, one that has been proposed. I think it was even used in Hawaii. RFK versus what's his face? Nixon, if I'm not mistaken. Now it's criminal. And then we have a bunch more. Okay. Names. Adam. Look at this. And they get them on these counts, Act 16, whatever. All right. Fani T. Willis, the face of the indictment. Sorry, I won't crush the ice. I might upset people. Okay, we got all this crap here. Okay, listen to this. We got all the charges. Solicitation of violation of oath of a public officer. I presume that's when, they're talking about presenting your alternate slate of electors. False statements and writings. And they go to the count for yada, yada, yada. We'll just read these quickly. Solicitation of violation of oath by public officers. Because we said, find me the votes. I won this. We're going to present alternate slate of electors. False statements and writings. Impersonating a public officer. That's when they send the alternate slate of electors. I presume we're gonna get there. Solicitation of violation of oath of police officers. False statements and writings. Okay. And the thing is this: you can't read through this because it's 96 pages of total and utter bullshit. Count 1 of 41. You get a bunch of names with the offense of violation of the Georgia RICO, Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. For the said accused individually, yada, yada, yada. Defendant Donald John Trump lost the United States presidential election held on November 3rd, 2020. This is an indictment. This is not an essay. It's not a dissertation. One of the states he lost was Georgia. Trump and the other defendants charged in this indictment refused to accept that Trump lost. Refusing to accept that you lost when you don't think you lost is now a crime. They knowingly and willfully joined a conspiracy to unlawfully change the outcome of the election in favor of Trump. How did they do that? find me the votes. As if everybody doesn't know exactly what Trump said. I don't need 1 million votes. I just need 15,000 votes. I know it was fraudulent. Just find me those votes. Oh, and we're going to present an alternate slate of electors. Fraud. And we're going to decipher a legal theory that exists, that has been tested by other people, presented by the fraud, indict. That conspiracy contained a common plan and purpose to commit 2 or more of acts of racketeering activity in Fulton County, Georgia, elsewhere in the Georgia, in other states. Now, I'm no constitutionalist. At all times relevant to this count of the indictment, the defendants, as well as not named defendant, unlawfully conspired or endeavored to conduct and participate in a criminal enterprise in Fulton, Georgia, and elsewhere. Defendants Donald John Trump, yada, yada, yada. The criminal organization constituted an enterprise as the term is defined in their law. That is a group of individuals associated in fact. Can't have legal counsel. If you have an attorney and you want to present a novel constitutional theory, even though it's not quite that novel, RICO for the practice of law. This is Fani Willis's work. Does anybody know? Like I asked on Twitter, does anybody know she has any known Soros connections? Like we know that Soros backed Kim Gardner. We know that Soros backed Alvin Bragg. Is there any known Soros connection? I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know. Oh my goodness. Okay. Manner and methods. I mean, we're not going to go through the whole thing. Members of the enterprise, including several of the defendants, appeared at hearings in Fulton, Georgia before members of the yada yada. At these hearings, listen to this, by the way, they're not criminalizing speech. Remember when Jack Smith in that indictment in DC, I'm not going after speech. Don't worry about that. What did they do? They were at a hearing. The purpose of these, and they made false statements concerning fraud in the November 3, 2020 presidential election. Wait until we get to the Michigan allegation in light of the news that just came out this week out of Michigan. The purpose of these false statements was to persuade Georgia legislators to reject lawful electoral votes cast by the duly elected and qualified presidential electors in Georgia. Oh, so the goal of the statements, which they say are false, was to persuade somebody. The goal of the statements is to say, we think this is the result of a constitutionally invalid election. You should appoint these alternate electors, not the ones who, following the procedure, would be suggested. Oh, persuasion. Okay. Members of the enterprise corruptly solicited Georgia legislators to unlawfully appoint their own presidential electors for the purpose of casting electoral votes for Donald Trump. This is a legal theory that has, from what I understand, even been presented or prepared or contemplated by Democrats. Presenting alternate slate of electors. I've talked about this with Barnes on my own. I think I understand the theory here. They're not coming in and changing the names on the slate of electors to be presented. They are coming in and openly saying, those are the result of a constitutionally invalid election. You should instead vote for the alternate slate, not ones who are passing them off as anything else but what they are purporting to be, alternate slate of electors. Criminal. But don't worry, it gets worse. Members of the enterprise also made false statements to state legislatures during hearings and meetings in Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I ain't no constitutional specialist, but I got questions. Oh, but it's RICO, Viva, you dumbass Canadian Quebec lawyer. You don't know that RICO, that could go anywhere. Now the Georgia RICO statute can base itself on allegations of criminality in Arizona, Michigan, and other states. Oh, yeah. Okay, false statement. Let's see. Members of the enterprise, including several of the defendants, made false statements in Fulton County. Well, I want to get to the false statements. Okay. Creation, distribution of false electoral college documents. Members of the enterprise, including several of the defendants, created false electoral college documents. Alternate, never purporting to be authentic to replace the original. Alternate, but doesn't matter. Words don't matter. Facts don't matter. Laws don't matter. Ethics don't matter. Procedure doesn't matter. Democracy doesn't matter. All of this is necessary to fortify democracy. After the false electoral college votes were cast, members of the enterprise transmitted the votes to the President of the United States, the Archivist of the United States, the Georgia Secretary, yada, yada, yada. Okay. They sent it to people. Schemes were similarly executed in Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Harassment and intimidation. Members of the enterprise, including several of the defendants, falsely accused Fulton County election worker Ruby Freeman, of committing election crimes in Fulton County, Georgia. These false accusations were repeated to Georgia legislators and other Georgia officials in an effort to persuade them to unlawfully change the outcome. That's the harassment. We think that this election was the result of fraud. We don't think you did any meaningful signature verifications. We don't think that you fulfilled your duties, and we're calling you out on it. Crime. That's harassment. Then we get the solicit of the vice president. All right. Obstructive acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. Members of the enterprise, including civil defendants, filed false documents, made false statements to government investigators, and committed perjury in judicial proceedings by claiming that they believed the election was the big F word. Okay. That's the intro. We know the scheme. Now they go through all of the acts. And by the way, just watch this. Oh, it won't. My computer cannot even refresh fast enough to keep up with this steaming. All of these are acts, and we're just going to go pull a few at random because people on Twitter have brightly been saying, "Oh, well, great. Now tweeting is a felony. Now retweeting is a felony. Giving legal advice is a felony. Oh no, but it's legal advice and furthers the criminal." Wait until you read the damn acts of people who are saying that on Twitter. That's not what it is. Let's go back here. Act 34. Act 10. I'm going to pull this out. Just go to the chat for 1 second because this could get tedious and boring if this is all that we do. Let me stop this and go to the chat to see what's going on. Let's just bring this up and see if there's anything interesting in the chat. What we are witnessing, but what are we missing by looking at their shit show, Sylar? The shit show is what we're witnessing. This is I don't know what I'm not knowing the context. Or maybe you're talking about something else. Hoppity Hooper says, irony, RICO, a forgotten about law from 1969 that had never been used until Giuliani unearthed it to go after the New York City tough guys who had until then won their criminal trials, brought to you by Rudy. Oh my goodness. And Uncivil Law Kurt was trying to get through it last night. Oh no, I'm not making fun of Kurt. That was he was it's just when I initially thought it was a steaming pile of dog shit, I was affirmed in that belief when Uncivil Law I was not influenced. Uncivil Law was of the same opinion. Let's see if there's no more there. Okay, let's bring this thing back up because we're going to play the steaming pile of indictment dog shit roulette. But we're going to start with a few right off the bat. Where's the criminal indictment? It's right here. All right, we're just going to start. Let me just start looking through a few. And then bear in mind, this is spaghetti on the wall. This is baffle them with bullshit when you can't dazzle them with intelligence, with intellect. There's just so many. You can't even pick one to stick to because each and every one of them arguably dumber than last. Let's just start. We'll start slowly. On or about the 4th day of November 2020, Trump made a nationally televised speech falsely declaring victory in the 2020 presidential election. Approximately 4 days earlier, on or about October 31st, 2020, he discussed a draft speech with unindicted co-conspirator Individual 1, whose identity is known to the grand jury, that falsely declared victory and falsely claimed voter fraud. The speech was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Remember, everybody, they're not coming after speech. Oh, I'm sorry. What's that? He made a nationally televised speech. The speech was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. I will just say over and over again, we just had that breaking story. The Gateway Pundit broke out of Michigan. We now know some shit was wonky. So the speech was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. The speech in which he falsely declared victory. Oh, I didn't realize that was. So we should be locking up. What's her name? The woman out of Georgia who said that the election was stolen. Chat. Hold on 1 second. You know who I'm talking about. Claimed election fraud out of Georgia. What's her name? I need to know the name. I can't go on with it. Hold on. I'm gonna Google this. Who's gonna get it faster? Stacey Abrams. Thank you very much, Molten Salt. We should indict. Are they not indicting Stacey Abrams? Oh, wait a minute. Did she? Hold on 1 second. Stacey Abrams stolen election. I think that she said it in Georgia. Right. Indict Stacey Abrams. She said it. Hold on, people. Just take this out. I'm gonna go here. Share screen. No, not the criminal indictment. Raffensperger defeats Stacey Abrams' stolen election claims in court. Indict her. Lock her up, gag her, indict Stacey Abrams. That's how it works, right? Here, let's see here. Why Stacey Abrams is still saying she won. Indict her. Only but she didn't do it in furtherance for that. No. She just said it was stolen. She declared herself the victor. Indict her. I mean, no one is above the law, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. No one's above the law, but some people are more under the law than others. Listen to this. Giuliani, lawyer, placed a telephone call on. I'm sorry. It's not funny. It's not funny because I know some people seem to have their gripes with Jenna Ellis. I still like her. These are actual, as far as I'm concerned, decent people. Giuliani made some serious mistakes, and I would argue that Giuliani made more serious and more mistakes than Jenna Ellis. We'll get to Jenna Ellis. This is in Act 2. Which, is there a typo? Holy shit. Like, I'm not the one to pick on typos, but I'm going to pick on this typo. Got to get that indictment out. Oh, get it out. Oh, God. It doesn't matter. Forget it. There's Act 2. There's 2 acts. On or about the 15th day of November, Rudolph William Louis Giuliani placed a telephone call to unindicted co-conspirator 2, whose identity is known to the grand jury, and left an approximately 83-second long voicemail message for unindicted co-conspirator 2, making statements concerning fraud in the November 3 election in Fulton, Georgia. This telephone call was an overt act of the conspiracy. Can you understand this? Like, now I'm actually going to get a little angry. He left a voicemail for somebody else. I don't know who unindicted co-conspirator 2 is. He left someone a voicemail saying, I think there was fraud. That's act number 2 of the indictment, that a grand jury said, rubber stamp this one. No, it's the ham sandwich. Oh, is this the ham sandwich? No, this is Giuliani. Oh, okay, good. Phew. That would have been a bridge too far. He left an 83-second long voicemail making statements concerning fraud. My good God. Act number 2, typo. Fani. 19th day of November, Jenna Ellis. Who's the other one here? Giuliani, Catherine Powell, unindicted co-conspirator 3, yada, yada, yada. Appeared at a press conference at the RNC headquarters of Donald Trump, yada, 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 and made false statements concerning fraud in the November 3, 2020 presidential election in Georgia and elsewhere in furtherance of the conspiracy. And it goes on. I mean, and the thing is this, it goes on, and I swear to you, it doesn't get any better. I'm going to go to my tweets. I just want to remember some of the really, really noteworthy ones. Let me see here. Some of them are just... yeah, let's go to... how do I get this out of here? No, minimize. Oh, lordy. We'll scroll down here. On Mark Meadows, Act 6, on or about the 21st day of November, 2020. Mark Randall Meadows sent a text message to the United States Representative Scott Perry from Pennsylvania and stated, "Can you send me the number for the Speaker and the leader of the Pennsylvania legislature? POTUS wants to chat with them." Criminal! Oh my God, this act was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Hey, it's a joke. Now I'm reading this actually in Robert Gouvea's voice. Like, hey, can you send me the number for the Speaker of the leader of the Pennsylvania legislature? POTUS wants to chat with them. Criminal act in furtherance of the conspiracy. The next day, when the person didn't get back to them, he opened up the phone book and looked up for the number. Overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. And let's get into some of the legal practice. Act number 8, on the 25th day of November, Giuliani, Jenna Ellis appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses at a Pennsylvania legislators in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. During the meeting, Giuliani made false statements concerning fraud, yada, 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 and importuned the Pennsylvania legislators present at the meeting to unlawfully appoint presidential electors from Pennsylvania. During the meeting, Jenna Ellis solicited, requested, and importuned the Pennsylvania legislators to, yada, yada, same thing, to appoint presidential electors from Pennsylvania. Donald John Trump joined the meeting by telephone, made false statements concerning fraud, and solicited, requested, and importuned the Pennsylvania legislators present at the meeting to unlawfully appoint the alternate slate of electors that were always presented as alternate slate of electors to be appointed because the principal, authentic, original slate of electors were, in their mind and in the mind of about 77 million other people, were the result of a constitutionally invalid election. It goes on. It goes on and it goes on. And I'm sitting here thinking, why the hell are they talking about what went on in Pennsylvania for the Georgia indictment? Are they trying to indict Trump and others on acts that occurred in another state? I mean, who the hell does Fani Willis think she is? It's mind-blowing. Act 12, Jenna Ellis, Giuliani placed a telephone call to Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, Brian Cutler, left him a voicemail for the purpose of soliciting, requesting, and importuning him to unlawfully appoint the alternate slate of electors. It doesn't stop at Pennsylvania either. Where'd we go? We went to Arizona afterwards here. Hold on a second. Here we go. The same thing for Arizona. First day of December 2020, Giuliani, Jenna Ellis met with Speaker of Arizona House. We're at Act 20. Unindicted co-conspirator. Okay, where do we get here? During the meeting, Giuliani made false statements concerning fraud in the November 3, 2020 election. Requested, solicited, importuned the legislators to present a call special sessions of the Arizona State Legislature. These acts were an overt furtherance of the conspiracy. Okay, I'm going to go down to the one that I think is particularly important, which is, now I can't remember because I can't see it. 21. And I'm going to pull up and read some. We're going to pull up, read some chat, and then we're going to go play dog shit indictment roulette. Act 21. On or about the second day of December 2020, Rudolph William Giuliani and Jenna Lynn Ellis appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses at a meeting of the Michigan House of Representatives Oversight Committee. During the meeting, Rudolph William Louis Giuliani made false statements concerning fraud in the November 3, 2020 presidential election in Michigan and solicited, requested, and importuned the Michigan legislators present at the meeting to unlawfully appoint presidential electors from Michigan. During the meeting, Jenna Ellis solicited, requested, same thing. In Michigan. Hold on, people. Let me bring this out. Just go to Google. Just Gateway Pundit, Michigan fraud. You know what? I'm not even going to take this one from. Oh, I can't take it from. I was going to take it from the Detroit News, but it's behind a paywall, so no. There we go. Let's take it from Bridge, Michigan, in case anybody has a problem with the Gateway Pundit. Okay, share screen. Is this it right here? This looks like it. Muskegon fake. What the hell is a Muskegon? What's it? Okay, that Muskegon fake voter application probed in 2020 referred to FBI. Nessel says, is this the right story? August 14, 2023. Remember the charge in the indictment. Remember, I'll also argue, if even one of the allegations coming out of any one of the states, coming out of any one of the defendants, is plausibly or actually legitimately based on actual confirmed problems, fortification, well then, I would dare say that everything, the entire argument falls apart. We talked about this Sunday night. I put out a highlight. I forget where on Viva Frei, Viva Clips. Listen to this. So we're here. Okay. In 2020, a worker for a voter registration firm turned in scores of voter applications that state officials say were clearly fraudulent. Oh, what was that paragraph of the indictment where they say that they wrongly claimed voter fraud in Michigan? Oh, I'm sorry. What's this? State officials say they detected the problem, were set to press charges, but referred case to FBI as part of a larger probe. No one voted as a result of the effort. GOP is now raising issue anew. Oh, no one voted as a result. I'm sorry. I thought they denied any fraud in the first place. Oh, now it's there was no widespread voter fraud that affected the outcome. Okay, there was voter fraud that we were aware of that we didn't tell you at the time, that we denied existed at the time. But trust us, it had no one, not one of them got through. Not one of those. How many tens of thousands of ballots? Lansing, Michigan Michigan authorities have found evidence that scores of 2020 voter registration applications submitted in Muskegon were, quote, clearly fraudulent, but did not issue charges because the matter was referred to the FBI as part of the national probe. Oh, yeah, the FBI that was busy investigating. Now Robert has put the two black pill dots together for me. The FBI that was investigating the entrapment Fed-napping of Gretchen Whitmer. Oh, yeah. And we haven't heard about this until now. The FBI did jack squat with it. Not just did jack squat with it, concealed it. Bill Barr gets up in front of national television and says, I have found no evidence of widespread voter fraud that could... I haven't seen anything because I haven't opened my eyes. The nearly 3-year-old case gained new attention last week as the Michigan Republican Party worked with a far-right website to release police reports from an investigation that included state police and the Attorney General's office. GOP leaders renewed claims that 2020 election was rigged against Donald Trump and argued the lack of prosecution amounts to a double standard, since he and his supporters have been charged with crimes in recent weeks. Oh, it's not a double standard. It's communism. Michigan officials counter that far from a smoking gun, the Muskegon case shows that, quote, the system worked, end quote, to prevent any fraudulent votes because the forged voter registration applications in question were intercepted before the election and did not affect the but by the way, intercepted before the election and did not affect the outcome. That would admit of the possibility that some were not intercepted, but did not affect the outcome. What a load of rubbish. Trust us, we got all of them. We're only telling you now that we even had this particular problem in the first place. We definitively know that not one got through. Horse crap. State authorities suspect employees at the lowest levels, end quote. For those who are listening on podcast, Viva Barnes Law for the People. State authorities suspect employees at the, quote, lowest levels, end quote, of a national voter registration firm were responsible for the fraudulent applications. But it is the FBI's decision whether to prosecute or even disclose it to the public, said Danny Wimmer, a spokesperson for the Democratic Michigan Attorney General, Dana Nessel. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know. Spin. It's a far-right website, discredited. The case is not new news. Bullshit. You pathological propagandist, spin doctor, wordsmiths for the devil. The case is not new news. To quote Charles Manson on The Family Guy, if I haven't seen it, it's new to me. The allegations at the heart of the Muskegon case the group submitted, a large band, were covered in October 2020 by multiple media outlets, including Oh, really? I'll go double check that after the stream is over. Muskegon clerk Ann Meisch, who had alerted authorities, said at the time that her office had received an estimated 6,000 applications from a single organization. Oh, that sounds a lot like ballot harvesting. Like they reported in, where was it? Ilan Omar's. Where is she? Is she in Michigan? No. Where's Ilan Omar? I think she's in Michigan. Most of the applications were valid, she told, but she estimated that several hundred had irregularities, including wrong birthdays. I believe it was tens of thousands. Bridge, Michigan also reported on the initial state investigation, yada yada, in its blog published. Oh, yeah, that's MSM coverage. Bridge, Michigan, in a blog covered some part of the, fraction of the story back in the day. So what is new? Tell us, please. Tell us, liars. Tell me what is new and tell me what I have to look away from. Michigan GOP officials obtained and shared with the Gateway Pundit website police reports for the ensuing probe, including documents showing state police and Nessel's office had effectively ended their investigation by mid-2021 and turned over materials to the FBI as part of what police called a related national investigation. Oh, so we're beyond state allegations of fraud? According to the police reports, a woman who said she worked for the Tennessee-based voter registration company called GBI Strategies dropped off an unusually large batch of 8,000 to 10,000 voter registration applications in Muskegon, a traditional Democrat stronghold that had roughly 28,500 registered voters, yada, yada, yada. Investigators later determined that some of the applications were legitimate, but others were clearly fraudulent. Highly suspicious because forged signatures, wrong addresses, and other errors, police went on to report. And it was submitted to the FBI for a related national investigation, not merely a state investigation. Okay. Police documents detail execution of a search warrant to their offices, GBI office in Southfield, where authorities found computer tablets, prepaid phones, T-shirts, pay cards, rental vans. What are they going to talk about the guns? They don't talk about the guns here. Oh, no, they did. Here. Police also found several guns in the group's Southfield office that were examined by an agent from the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, but not confiscated because they were deemed to be legal property of an employee. How much of this was that's what's new, by the way. That. So what is new? That. Just, tens of thousands of clearly fraudulent voter registrations, firearms, but don't worry, they kept their firearms. Was one of them hunters? Just asking for I'm joking. What does that office evidence prove? Not much, according to the Attorney General's office. We've investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing. All detected firearms, yada, yada. Was anyone criminally charged? Why not? No one has been charged, at least not yet. Why not? Because the FBI buried it for 3 years while they were investigating the Fed-napping of Gretchen Whitmer. They were too busy infiltrating the basement-dwelling individuals so they could exploit them for an entrapment of a Fed-napping with Whitmer to investigate a state and national voter fraud. As for the state probe, fraud was determined to have occurred at the 2 lowest levels of the company. Okay, leading it. Okay, whatever. And that's it. Michigan double standard. We can go on here. What the GOP ignored, misrepresented. Let's hear this. While the GOP claims Democrats won't investigate election fraud because they benefited from it, Nessel, who is a Democrat, has investigated and charged multiple individuals in recent years. Just not anyone related to this one. At least not yet. Maybe now that it's I don't know what the statute of limitations are. Are they pulling a Biden? Are they pulling a Hunter on this? Take 5 years to investigate? Oh, can't charge anyone. Statute of limitations. I don't know what the statute of limitations are on voter fraud. Oh, Nessel charged a Centerline nursing home. I don't give a shit about that. Okay. In reality, the police reports clearly state that authorities found applications, not ballots themselves. That's an important distinction because you can't vote on an application. No. I'm sure none of them got through. If you think any of them got through, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. And when Ellis, Giuliani, Trump were saying voter fraud, and we're only now finding about it's low-level voter fraud that was submitted to the FBI as part of a national investigation into voter fraud. We only find out about 3 years later. Indictment. Act. What act were we up to here? Oh, no, hold on. Not yet. Take this out. Let's go to the chat for 1 second. Let me see if anybody, and we're gonna take this over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com for one heck of an after party. We're not gonna end the stream yet, but we're not gonna go through this entire steaming pile of judicial dog shit of an indictment. We're gonna play steaming pile of judicial dog shit roulette. Now, what I'm gonna do, I want to go to the last act. The last act. Okay, we're down here. Count 8. I mean, it's just. Okay, so we're at Act 156, 157, 159, 160, 161. Baffle them with bullshit. Here's what we're going to do. This is going to be fun. We'll do it 5 times until it gets too boring to continue doing. 161. No, get that out of here. Generate a random number between 1 and 161. 21. We already covered that one. Let's do it again. That's funny. 80. Let's go to Act 80, people. Let's just see. Maybe there's a good one in here somewhere. Baffle them with bullshit. Make it so long, nobody's going to read it. Make it so long and convoluted, nobody's going to understand it. Let's just see if by accident we can actually capture an act that has the semblance of legitimacy to it. Act 80. On or about the 14th day of December. Schaefer, Still, Latham, unindicted co-conspirator 2, individual 8, 9, throw in more here, whose entities were known to the yada, 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 committed the felony offense of forgery in the 1st degree. That sounds very serious. Let's hear what they did. Oh, with the intent to defraud, knowingly make a document titled Certificate of the Votes of the 2020 Electors from Georgia, a writing other than a check in such a manner that the writing was made in such a manner that the writing as made purports to have been made by authority of the duly elected and qualified presidential electors from the state of Georgia, who did not give such authority and uttered and delivered said document to the archivist of the United States. This was an act of racketeering activity under whatever, and an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Just see, you just texted me that. What's the indictment? That they prepared a certificate for the alternate slate of electors that they were going to present with the legal argument that the original slate of electors should be disregarded because they were the result of fraud, which doesn't exist, except we just went over an article that seems to cover a little bit of potential fraud coming out of Michigan, one of the states which, for reasons unknown, is included in this Georgia indictment. Okay. I dare say that might be as strong as it gets. Forgery. They didn't sign somebody else's signature. They signed their own, as far as I understand. It wasn't a question of forging. It wasn't a question of forging Fani Willis's signature. It was a question of saying, I'm signing this. These are the electors. We're not pretending to be Fani Willis. We are not pretending to be the original slate of electors. We are presenting ourselves as the alternate slate of electors, because we argue that slate of electors results from a fraud, which we now know existed in part, maybe somewhat, in Michigan. Criminal indictment. That's as strong as it gets. So look, no one's going to accuse us of not having given it the best chance in the world. Shall we do it again? Let me see something. Oh, we haven't been looking at the document. Well, you heard me read it. Criminal indictment. Sorry. 80. Here we go. This was it. Act 80. Let's do it again. Go. 23. Now, we already did that one. Do it again. 9. Wow, this is really, give me hot. 21. This is not random. 16. We did that one. 4. Holy. 51. Let's go to 51. Oh, dog shit pile indictment roulette. 51. Let's hear this. On or about the 10th day of December 2020, Kenneth John Chesebro sent an email. This is serious now. He sent an email to Nevada Republican Party Vice Chairman Jim DeGraffenreid. Kenneth John Chesebro stated in the email, let's hear what he says. This is very serious. He wrote an email. He didn't rob a bank. He didn't like strike an elderly person. He wrote an email in which he stated, stated in the email that Rudy Giuliani and other individuals associated with the Trump campaign asked him, quote, to reach out to you and the other Nevada electors to run point on the plan to have all Trump-Pence electors in all 6 contested states meet up and transmit their votes to Congress on Monday, December 14th. This act was an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. Some people might just call that an act in furtherance of a legal theory. Hey, man, here's the email. Can you reach out to the other Nevada electors to run point on the plan, the legal plan? Oh, no, it's RICO. This is RICO. This isn't a legal theory of presenting an alternate slate of electors and asking Pence to recognize those electors because the results were the result of a fraud that doesn't exist, that we know it does, at least in Michigan. No. This is a RICO mob, gang, criminal warfare. Hey, can you reach out to you and the other Nevada electors to run point on the plan to have the all Trump-Pence electors in all 6 contested states meet and transmit their votes to Congress on Monday? Crime. How long do we have to do this for? Let's do another one. 105. Good. We're getting to the end here. We're getting a little further down. Let's see what 105 has to say. Eventually, we'll get a good one, right? They are criminalizing petitioning the government for grievance. They are criminalizing speech. They are criminalizing emails. They are criminalizing text messages. They're criminalizing the Constitution itself. If anybody says that this indictment is anything other than a ludicrous, steaming pile of judicial dog plop, they're idiots. Period. Let's see what 105 has to say. On or about the 30th day of December 2020, Robert David Cheeley committed the felony offense, false statements and writing. I think I know where this one's going, people. In violation of the Georgia RICO law by knowingly, willfully, and unlawfully making at least one of the following false statements and representations to members of the Georgia Senate present at a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee meeting. 1, that poll watchers and media at State Farm Arena were told late in the evening of November 3, 2020, that the vote count was being suspended until the next morning and to go home because of a major water main break. I'm very confused right now. Hold on one second. I'm very confused right now because I thought that was actually a pure matter of fact. That Fulton election workers and state arenas voted the same ballots over and over again on November 3rd. Said statements being within the jurisdiction of the Office of the Georgia Secretary of State and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, departments and agencies, yada, yada, yada. This was an act of racketeering activity under the... Okay, so hold on one second here. Let me make sure I understand this, because this is even worse than I ever could have thought it was. He made the statement that the votes were that apparently the vote count was being suspended until the next morning and to go home. And then he says that they continued to vote the same ballots over and over again. So one is a statement of fact. The other seems to be a statement of opinion. Can we just check something here? We're going to do this in real time because I just want to make sure I thought. State Farm Arena, water main break, Georgia, 20. Am I going? I mean, this is another thing. This is like, it makes an otherwise sane person feel like they're going crazy. Fulton County election results delayed after pipe bursts in a room with ballots. A broken water pipe at the ballot processing site at State Farm Arena caused a delay in Fulton County's ability to process thousands of absentee. So the first statement that this individual has been indicted on as in furtherance of RICO conspiracy is a factually correct statement. There was despite the broken pipe, which did not lead to any ballots being damaged, election officials said they performed better. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Still, the Tuesday's delayed tallies for the presidential contest and for the... So the pipe break did in fact occur. And what they disagree with is that the votes were they counted votes. They continued counting votes over and over again. Is that where they took out the Pelican boxes of ballots? Hold on one second. We're going to take this one out for one more second. Is that where they took out the Pelican boxes video? I do. Let's see here. We got, see, the risk is if I take an unverified video on YouTube. Let's see this here. What is this? Oh, we got it. We got the graffiti from YouTube. The 2020 United States elections were held on Tuesday. The Democratic Party defeated. Okay, fine. This is from WSB TV. Georgia election officials shows frame by frame of the state arena election video nights.
Your voice, your vote.
Let's see.
Time. Counties across Georgia have certified votes from November's presidential election.
The Secretary of State is expected to actually certify the statewide results today as well.
Let's just skip
this box.
Yes.
This is
placed under there.
Giuliani calls a smoking gun. Quote, suitcases pulled. He spent hours analyzing this video. Looking at the election night surveillance tape that President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, calls a smoking gun. Quote, suitcases pulled from under a table.
We can show exactly when they were placed under there.
So these were not mystery ballots that came from a mystery location?
No.
They were right there in the room.
Yes.
People watched them placed in those boxes.
Yes.
This is the short section of the video the Trump team has shared. It's not suitcases being pulled from under that table, but official sealed ballot containers.
Am I wrong, everybody? Am I wrong right now? Or did this video occur and the counting occurred after they said that they suspended counting?
If we go back in the video to hours before, you can see that table being brought into the room at 8:22 a.m. Nothing underneath, no hidden suitcases. Then we can see at 10 p.m. with the room full of people, including official monitors and the media, as ballots that have been opened but not counted are placed in the boxes, sealed up and stored under the table. The reason? Employees thought they were done for the night.
They were planning on going home.
Yes.
As you can tell by the fact that they're sealing everything up and preparing
All
to
right.
leave.
Why they
Here's
think?
where there was confusion.
Oh.
Media and observers left as employees packed up. But this phone call changed that. Fulton's election director called the supervisor here to say, keep working, keep counting. After the Secretary of State's office called him to say you shouldn't stop this early. That's when employees pulled these containers of ballots back out, the so-called smoking gun video, and went back to work. These are the same ballots official monitors watched them put away.
No magical appearing ballots. These are ballots.
Oh,
processed
look
in
at
front
that! Look at that face mask.
of the monitors, put in the boxes in front of the monitors, and placed there.
And
in front of the
they
monitors.
continued counting
So what
them.
about that gap?
Yeah.
Well, this is what happened during the roughly an hour before an official state observer returned. Employees scanned ballots.
Yeah, these are just typical everyday election workers who are just doing their jobs.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
it's not
I thought they were told to stop counting
like
the ballots.
this is an Ocean's 11 level scheme that was put together in the middle of the night.
Now, there was a
I don't want to pretend that I found the smoking gun to definitively demonstrate how absolutely patently absurd this indictment is. And I hope everybody really understands. I was, hold on. Hold on here. Let's bring this out. I was seriously randomly generating numbers between 1 and 161. Let's go back and read that now that we just saw the video, which confirms that they were told to stop counting, and the video confirms that they continued counting after that phone call, which changed everything, unless I'm just off on the night, the date, the time, the arena. What was that article again? Well, my dog just made a little noise. What's it here? He knowingly, willfully, and unlawfully making at least one of the following false statements. At least one of the following. Which one's false? Poll watchers in the statement were told in the evening of November 3, 2020, that the vote count was being suspended. I think that's true. Definitively, we just saw the CBS or whatever that news was. And the Fulton County election workers voted the same ballots over and over again. Well, I think we certainly saw that they continued voting because that phone call changed everything. Holy crab apples. The internet is forever until they make the internet no longer forever. Do we do one more? Hold on, I don't know how many we did. Let me just see what's going on in the chat here. Do we do one more, or are we all thoroughly fed up with this steaming pile of judicial dog poop? I'm not off, Vive, says Molten Salt. I'm right. They started counting again, says Hoppity Hooper. I'll tell you one thing. I like being told I'm right. This is who? Oh no! Do not cancel. What the heck am I doing? Don't close it. I need to minimize. What bothers me is that there's a lot of stupid people out there, ignorant people out there, and dishonest people out there. The stupid people I can forgive. The ignorant people get a little bit harsher judgment, and the liars don't get forgiveness. It's gone mad. It's gone mad, and the difficulty is not getting blackpilled, because as bad as everyone thinks it is, it keeps getting worse. Do we do one more? I see a bunch of Rumble rants. Do we do one? Let's do one more. Then I'm going to do the Rumble rants. Then we're going to go over to locals. We're going to do one more. Okay, refresh. Give us another number. Go. 55. Okay, fine. Well, actually, 5 is my lucky number. 55 is double lucky. I don't think we're actually looking at the document together, so let me make sure that we're doing that. Add to stream. 55. Let's see what 55 has to say, and then maybe we'll do one more after that. All right. I like this one. It's got Giuliani in it again. On or about the 10th day of December, Giuliani and Ray Stallings Smith III committed felony offenses. Solicitation of violation of oath by public officer. I think we know where we're going with this one. In Fulton County, by unlawfully soliciting, requesting, and importuning certain public officers then serving as elected members of the Georgia House of Representatives and present at a House Governmental Affairs Committee meeting, including Rep. Shaw Blackman, James Burns, blah, 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 just a bunch of names, reciting them off, to engage in conduct constituting the felony offense of violating of oath by public officer, by unlawfully appointing presidential electors from Georgia in willful and intentional violation of the terms of the oath of said persons as prescribed by law, with intent that said persons engage in said. Okay, we're done. We're done with it. I'll leave it in the backdrop just in case we're not done with it. It goes, I mean, that's it. You know the legal theory. They're pulling an Alvin Bragg level idiocy where they turn the same act into a 37 charge indictment. In February, he entered in the books a payment to his lawyer that ought to have been made to Stormy Daniels. That's 1 charge. He then took the books and balanced them. That's 2 charge. He then issued the check. That's the 3rd charge. And that's for the month of February. Let's do it for March, April, May, June, July, August, September. That's how they got to 37 charges in the Alvin Bragg, George Soros funded bullshit indictment. They're doing basically the exact same thing here. They had a plan. They had a legal theory, tenable or untenable. It's for the courts to decide or for the political players to decide. The legal theory, I'm not going to pull up the article from when it was done back in Hawaii for JFK and Nixon, but had been done, tested in the past, tried in the past. They had a legal theory for several states. Fani Willis is now coming out, and she is, through Georgia, attacking RICO racketeering corruption in Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania. My goodness, she's oh God, that's the face of Trump has finally met his match with a batshit crazy district attorney who has no respect for state independence, has no respect for the law, and has no respect for basic appreciation of facts. Oh.